Frieza is annoyed right now because of the current situation that they're in. He and Goku are walking down an unnecessary long hall flanked by guards from these lower species as Frieza sees them. He expected no one to know what he looked like in this form because no one had ever seen it besides those two. But to not be treated with respect and fear rubbed him the wrong way. He let out a deep sigh and felt a squeeze on his hand. He looked at it before looking back up at Goku, who only threw him that worry-free smile of his. Frieza found himself unconsciously sending a small one back before giving his hand a slight squeeze and thinking back to how they got to this situation. After having moved out of the crater, they were surrounded by small beings that even Frieza stood taller than. A guard had ordered them to follow him, almost setting Frieza on a killing spree, but Goku had rushed in and grabbed Frieza's arm to stop him from throwing his ever-deadly death beam, and Frieza had frozen, thinking he really just pushed his luck, till he felt his hand being brought down gently and then held by the Saiyan's own as Goku moved to stand beside him. "Relax, Frieza, I'm sure he didn't mean it in a bad way, he's just doing his job." But Frieza was about to argue, then he saw Goku lean in and he almost took a step back, but then felt Goku give a chaste kiss to his forehead. "But I'm here, so if they try anything I'll keep you safe." That was absolutely ridiculous to Frieza because even without the scouter he could tell this was a planet of weaklings and he could easily blow it away if he felt like it, but for some reason, those words brought him comfort as he felt himself relax. Fine. Goku didn't let go of his hand ever since then, as they were escorted towards what they can presume was a city with a large army of guards. Even though they didn't recognize them, they recognized the ship. Goku had given them a story not entirely true but not entirely lying, that they had escaped from a planet that blew up and had to grab whatever was close by in order to escape, and so far it seemed to be working. They arrived at the gates to the city only being met with more skeptical looks from the population. Not that Frieza cared, and Goku was blissfully unaware. Before they knew it, they had trekked across the fairly large city and headed towards a large building. But even Frieza knew that was probably not their leader's building, as he could guess that was the one in the distance easily reachable with a death ball. He filed that thought away as they came to rest before a large towering set of doors. The doors swung open and they walked into a room full of many of these smaller beings seated around them, and at the end of the room sat another on a throne of sorts. Perhaps I spoke too soon. Their tactics seem amateur, Frieza thought, thinking about how they easily exposed their apparent leader. "Welcome, travelers. I am Jenga, king of the Yardats." The voice of the being sitting on the throne spoke. "Hiya there, my name's Goku and this is..." Frieza just looked at Goku, trying to come up with a name and failing. "Of course, Saiyans." With a sigh he stepped forward, letting go of Goku's hand. He glanced at the room with no expression on his face, seizing up everyone. They most held their cold, calculating expressions except one that flinched slightly in the back of the crowd. He had noticed even walking towards here that the guards seemed almost scared of them even after Goku had stated they were allies. They seemed none the wiser to Goku but seemed more scared of him. Then he thought back to Namek. A lot of the Earthlings had seemed to have the ability to hide their true power levels. Was Goku doing it now? Could these beings sense power? He sighed again. This was becoming way too troublesome. He would rather be on his ship enjoying his luxuries. "My name is not of your concern, but it would be best you address me with respect." The leader or speaker, whatever seating on the throne, didn't speak, so Frieza continued. "Me and my companion here have heard a very tiring journey, and if I was not wanting to rest I would teach you a thing about manners." Goku was just awkwardly laughing whilst scratching the back of his head in the back. "Frieza, we don't need to make enemies as soon as we land." The leader on the crown coughed, drawing everyone's attention. "Apologies if our ways seemed rude. We are unfortunately in the midst of constant attack from pirates as of late, so outsiders aren't wholly trusted." Frieza just huffed as he heard Goku walk up beside him before throwing his arm over Frieza's shoulders. "I see, Didn't mean to worry you then, but do you have a place for us to stay and some food? Promise we will be out of your hair soon." It was quiet in the room as the rest of the small beings looked toward their leader for a decision. "Then it shall be so. You are free to stay here, travelers, till you're once again fit to travel, and if you're deemed as allies, then as long as you please." "Wow, thanks then. I promise we will try to stay out of the way." "Oh, do you have anywhere we can train?" That got both the king and Frieza's attention. "Why would I need to train Goku?" "Well, you said you got that powerful without any training at all, so imagine how good you could get with it." That did sound good to Frieza, but then also a hassle because working was something a lower being did. But then the choice again to be a force worth reckoning seemed too appealing. "Perhaps I will give it a shot then, Goku." The Saiyan gave him a gentle squeeze and a smile. "I promise it will be fun."